Welcome to Political Alchemy. Colorado and the National Democratic Reform. Are the Democrats the answer, or do we need to have a true, active third party working in America? Duane.
Whoa. My personal feelings about it are that once having an organizational pattern that's already been put together has its strengths in so much that people know one another, and that you do have this large organization that's already in place. But you also have a certain amount of rigidity of thinking that also goes along with something like that. However, I think what was demonstrated with the Bernie Sanders campaign is that there are many, many people who are inside the Democratic Party presently who are willing to take it to the Democratic Party and say, look, we've got to change the way we're doing stuff. We have to really look at those issues that affect every person, and fundamentally, let's not just be representing the top 10%, let's represent all the people and make sure that we're doing that. Now, a third party, you have all of the problems of having to put the organization together, making sure that it's solid, but it does give you the advantage of, hey, we can change. You don't like that? Have it different. Do this different. Do that different. It gives you a great deal of the ability to change. But for myself, my personal opinion is I would say we've already demonstrated. I believe with the Bernie Sanders campaign, there's already been a demonstration that it's possible to make change, serious change, to the Democratic Party, and especially when it comes to just the state level. Now, going to the national level, I think that's a whole different ball game. Maybe at that point, maybe a third party is maybe something that may actually be necessary. Be hard to say. But for Colorado, I think that working to change the structure or the actual setup of the Democratic Party is probably, I think, a potential solution going forward that I think probably has the most amount of success possibilities.
Yeah, I think it'd be much healthier for the country if we had more than two parties. But the problem is, how do you form more than two parties without killing off one? Like the problem with the Green Party, they tend to pull a lot from the Democrats. So if the Green Party gets stronger, all of a sudden neither party wins because the Republicans win. So we really need at least four. I'm involved with the Dem Enter effort, where we're trying to get those progressive Bernies, the progressive independent stuff involved with the Democratic Party, because the establishment's already there. The structure is there. Let's play within that structure to go against Republicans who are very well organized. Democrats have a historical problem of organizing, getting behind a common cause or a bigger cause, and all the little individual things to organize and win offices. So I would love to see us have four more parties. In the near term, for 2018 and 2020, I personally am involved with the Democratic Party to make it stronger, more progressive, and focus on the causes of the 99% versus big money, corporate influence, et cetera, which has corrupted the Democratic Party very much as the Republican Party has been.
Yes.
Well, I have to say I really enjoyed working with the Democrats here locally, and I've created a lot of alliances, and I would really hate to lose all those alliances. But after the National Democratic Convention, I was so disillusioned. It was just such an eye-opener to see the big money and all of just how strong the Democratic Party was with big money, Wall Street and the corporation. So I really got disillusioned by that. But I'm staying in. I had a lot of interior debate with myself about what should I do, what's the best thing to do. But I think all the reasons that you've said, it would take a lot of work to start a new party. I think it would be better if we had a couple more parties. But I'm going to give the Democratic Party a chance to see if they can build. But there is a lot of divisiveness in the Democrats right now, and I don't know if they'll be able to pull together.
And one big roadblock I believe that we have to making more parties is the big money influence in our politics right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no way for a third party to put on $100 million ads and stuff nationwide. There's just no way. So we got to get big money out of politics, overturn Citizens United, and do these other things to get. So there's not so much money going to politics where another party can't even compete against them. So
That's true.
Well, you know, and talking about organizing, I mean, Jim Hightower once said, you know, people accuse the Democrats of being unorganized, and it's like herding cats. And anyone who knows a cat just needs to know that you just use a can opener and herd cats just fine. But I think the two-party system is something that works in this country, given the way that our federal government is set up, the way that our even locally. I mean, if you go somewhere like Nebraska where there's a unicameral system, maybe then you can open up opportunities for multiple parties. But the real question is whether your vote is the expression of your ultimate hopes and values, or whether it's a tool. If you're using your vote as a tool, then you know, maybe it's okay not to vote for that third party because you understand that you're going to get 80% of what you want or 90% of what you want. But I think there are ways to get third parties involved. You look at what New York State has done. Multiple parties can endorse a singular candidate. So if I'm the Democratic nominee for a state house race in New York, I can go to the Working Families Party and say, you know, I think a lot of our values align. What is it that I can do to make sure that I can get your nomination too? In other states, you're looking at this in Maine right now, you're looking at a ranked choice voting system where it's no longer just a simple majority or even a plurality vote that's happening. But you know, in 2 years, we might see something where third parties could actually start to bubble up as people can rank their choices. And even this year, I'm working with the Libertarian Party and the American Constitutionalist Party and even members of the Green Party to look at other types of voting here in Colorado. Something called approval voting is a third form of voting. Until you change the way our voting system works, I don't know if it makes sense to go into a third party system. But I think that, you know, there are some good ideas out there to allow for that third party voice, and then we can see if there's real value and real popularity to it. I mean, frequently the Libertarians and the Greens just say, you know, oh, everyone else is just voting the lesser of two evils. Well, while that may or may not be the case, we can't really prove that until we give those other folks a choice and a voice without potentially being the quote-unquote spoiler. So it's a bigger question, but on the short term, you know, I wasn't a Democrat until 2004. I'd been a Republican. I was an independent. I voted for Ralph Nader in 2000. And I decided I was going to invest myself in the party. And 8 years later, I was elected to office. And I haven't had to change what I believe to do that. But I had to put in 8 years of effort. And so whatever people believe, I think you need to, you know, stick to what you're doing, and longevity is the real answer. So whether that's a third party in the long term, I don't know. But ultimately, like Jason mentioned, I mean, the last time we saw a significant third party that was actually able to rise to power, you know, the Whigs went away. And not the Whigs as in what Jason and I wear, but the Whig Party went away in favor of the Republican Party. But you had slavery. I mean, talk about one of the most divisive and also, you know, inspiring sort of political issues ever. And so until we have something that is just that foundationally values-laden, I don't know if you'll see a rise of a third party to get to that level of prominence.
Well, maybe we do. Maybe we have that now. And Donald will pull all of us together. You know? Maybe it's possible.
That's a big thing for the Dem NRF, is like we got to unite to fight what we know is going to be coming down the line over the next 2 years, 4 years, and with the Supreme Court, maybe next 50 plus years.
Maybe this is perfect timing. I don't know.
Now, when you were talking about Maine, is that what I would call a proportional voting system?
You know, basically, you know, I don't know what it would be, what you would call it, but basically what the system would look like is you would ascribe a rank number to as many candidates as pop up on the ballot. So if and I don't want to inaccurately describe it. Basically, your first choice, you would put a 1 next to you. The second choice, you put a 2. The third choice, you put a 3. And if there are multiple choices, you can rank as many or as few as you want within that level. And that way, you're ascribing a certain value to each candidate. And ultimately, instead of doing a runoff system, which is what happens right now in the city of Denver and the state of Louisiana, where the two top choice people go into a second election, the choice is made right there, and then within that ranking system.
Okay.
So I don't want to go into the vagaries of it because I just don't know exactly what Maine put in place this year, but we'll see this in 2018. We'll see if it actually makes a dent in this two-party system.
Okay.
That was the key.
The proportional system, which is used in a number of European countries, is basically Party X gets 50% of the vote, Party Y gets 30% of the vote, Party Z gets 20% of the vote. So it's 50% of the seats go there, 30% of the seats go there, 20% of the seats go there. So that's the proportional system that I was talking about. So it is very, very different. Sorry.
And Jill Stein is big behind the ranked choice voting system.
Okay.
Because right now, with the system we have right now, it's really hard not to have a spoiler vote. So with ranked choice voting, you can have multiple parties, and then people can vote with their values more accurately.
But you do realize this means that people are actually going to have to pay attention.
Yes.
And do homework.
Right. No, and actually that's one of the reasons, in this bill that I've proposed, I brought it up 2 years in the past. What it would do is actually allow local jurisdictions, city councils, school boards, water districts, or other special districts to use other methods of voting. There's a potential that we could actually be confusing voters, suppressing voter turnout unintentionally because voters don't know what they're voting for or how to vote. And so I think it's really important, just as states are laboratories of our nation, to let our cities, counties, local districts be laboratories of the state to see whether, does ranked choice work and why? Does instant runoff work and why? Does approval voting work or not work and why or why not? And that way we can actually work what works or use what works best in our system in Colorado. And then if it's really popular, then we can start looking at nationwide efforts.
Okay, I'm with it. Does anyone have any final words on this? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Thank you. This was Political Alchemy.